Hey everybody, it's Dan Landauer, and thanks for coming back for another video. If you're looking for coaching, visit the description box below this video or go to my website, philosophicalfishing.com, and you'll find the links below in the description box to all my coaching and my other social media websites. So if you're looking for that stuff, just go ahead and visit that. I've been thinking about this concept of hope going through psych med damage and psych med withdrawal. And this thing about hope is I don't want to overemphasize it and I don't want to underemphasize it. And when I say I don't want to overemphasize it, because I never want to make anybody feel like if they're losing hope or they're not feeling hope or they're not experiencing hope on a daily basis that they're doing something wrong. You're not. The thing about hope going through this is it's something that is sometimes elusive. It's something that is going to be there sometimes where you'll feel it. You'll experience hope. You'll really feel like there is a lot of hope for you going through this. And other times you're going to feel like completely hopeless. You're going to feel in despair. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel extremely anxious. You're just going to feel terrible. And that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. That doesn't mean that what you're doing for your recovery in psych med damage is the wrong thing, okay? I just want to make that clear. However, maybe there's something that you're missing, or maybe there's something that you could be doing better. I think it's worth taking an inventory. We have to be honest with ourselves. So for me, part of that was taking a look at what I was doing each and every day for my recovery going through this process. Because as you very well know, if you're going through this, that it doesn't take much to get you discouraged at all. Your nervous system is so sensitized and so raw. You can literally read the wrong thing, hear the wrong thing, see the wrong thing, and it can set you off and put you in a spiral for days. And I know even creating my own content, as much as I try to be conscientious of not saying or doing the wrong thing, I've said and done the wrong thing. I've triggered people unconsciously, did not mean to. But it just goes to show how sensitive our nervous systems are. And so we need to know that. We need to remember that for ourselves. Our number one job healing from psych med damage is guarding our nervous system. And that's a lot easier said than done, because there's always things that are going to come up that are unexpected, either with family members or just life in general, or situations that come up. And there's seemingly little that you can do to control that from happening. Stuff is just going to come at you. Life is going to happen. I mean, unless you're really sheltered away somewhere in some cave and not exposed to anything at all, stuff is going to happen. But it's worth taking a look at, what am I consciously doing with my time? What am I putting my attention on? And I know I've talked about this in other videos, but I think it bears repeating, because what we do put our attention on will grow and expand in our lives. And I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm not here to suggest what you need to do with your time and where you're putting your attention and energy. But I am saying, for me and for a lot of other people that I've worked with and spoken with, there is something to be said for what are you doing with your time. There's something to be said for what you put your attention and energy on is going to show up in your life in some way. So, an example. When I first came off of psych meds, that initial shock of, holy shit, what just happened to me? What am I dealing with? What am I going through? First of all, I had to figure out that I was on benzodiazepines and antidepressants for a very, very long time, many years, and they were abruptly stopped in 9 days. So my nervous system and brain took a massive, massive hit, and I sustained a nervous system and brain injury. That wasn't too terribly difficult to figure out just based on the way I felt. But I didn't know the mechanisms at play. So what I did was what we all do pretty much, was I got online and I got on the forums. I went on the Facebook groups, whatever. And I'm not here to say anything about the groups or the forums or online. I have no problem with any of those places. They're awesome. I'm glad they exist. Thank God that there's places where we can go on websites and on Facebook groups where we can actually get some information and commiserate with other people who are on the same journey and path as we are. However, inevitably I would come across some horror story that would just scare the ever-loving shit out of me and send me into a tailspin of despair and anxiety for days. And so I made the conscious decision that I was just going to remove myself from, not just from the groups, and again, nothing against the groups, but I just decided to remove myself completely from social media. I took myself off of all social media, and I stayed off of it for well over a year. I didn't post anything. I didn't read anything. I just figured I've got enough information. I know what happened to me. And from here on out, I am just going to take my recovery into my own hands. I'm going to focus on myself, on my recovery, on my immediate family, on making myself healthy and well again. And that's what I did. And so I started just to consume positive content in the form of podcasts, books, YouTube videos, and anything positive I could. I mean, everything. I mean, Dr. Joe Dispenza, so many different authors, meditations, anything that I could get that I was feeding myself. I was feeding my spirit and I was feeding my mind with positive things. And I was doing that as often as I possibly could, as much as I could. Not to go overboard with it, but I knew that I had to set my mind on something positive or I was going to be taken down, and I was going to be taken down fast. Because just your own mind is messing with you so much when you're going through this process, the intrusive thoughts, just the emotions that are kicked up, just the symptoms, the severity and intensity of the symptoms of themselves are enough to drag you down into despair and hopelessness. So I knew for me that what I was putting my attention on was having an effect on my recovery, because I noticed that when I was trying to consistently consume stuff that was good for me, I was feeling different. I was feeling better. I was trying to take my attention off of my symptoms and off of my terrible situation as much as I possibly could, as much as I could possibly stand it, as much as I could possibly redirect my focus onto something else. And it wasn't like I was completely ignoring the way that I felt. I mean, it was always there. It was always with me. Benzobelly was completely always with me. The chemical anxiety, the terror, that was always with me. The inner akathisia was always with me. I was always on the move. I could not sit down. I knew that stuff. It was a constant reminder of the damage done. So it's not like I was in denial about what happened to me. I was very well aware of it. It was just that I was trying to consciously choose to redirect my focus and my attention from here, from all of my terrible symptoms, from the shit that had happened to me, from the psychiatrist who ripped me off the drugs in rehab, to the harrowing experience that I had going through that rehab experience. And I was shifting. I was trying to redirect my focus onto, okay, all this shit happened to me, but now I'm focusing over here because this is what's going to help me. This is what's going to save me, and I'm getting through this. I'm going to find a way through this. I'm going to find a way to heal, come hell or high water. It just became my sole focus. And I had to do that. I had to do that for myself because I knew that if I over-focused on the terrible way that I felt, I was not going to get better, or at least it was going to stall my healing for a very long time. And I'm not blaming anybody. If it's taking you a long time, it took me a long time to heal. So if it's taking you a long time to heal, I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong. It just takes a long time for some of us to heal. That's just a fact of the matter. But what I always bring it back to is, what are you doing while you're healing? What are the things that you're putting your attention on? What can you do? That's the question I would ask myself, is what can I do? Well, I couldn't get in the gym and I couldn't lift, I couldn't do a 150-pound bench press, okay? But I could do 50 pounds, or I could do resistant bands, or I could walk a lot, and I could put my earbuds in and go for a lot of walks. So it was like, what can I do with the state that I'm in, and what feels good to my body? I can eat healthy. I can try to make better health choices for me, for what I'm putting in my body to nourish myself. But aside from physical food nourishment, I always bring it back to as well, what am I nourishing my mind with? What am I nourishing my spirit with? These things matter, and they have a cumulative effect. If I'm looking and dwelling and complaining about the negative shit in my life, that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It just is. It's just a fact of the matter. And so we have to be really conscious, because we have to guard ourselves, and you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to feed yourself as much good as you can, as much positivity. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity where you're just bypassing all the crap happening in your life. You need to express the bad shit too, okay? You need to express the stuff that's really painful and really hard. When you're feeling despair, name it, call it out, call it what it is. Call it depression, call it anxiety, call it despair, call it hopelessness when you're feeling hopeless. Name it, but sit with it. Sit with it, let it be there. Don't deny it, don't deny it, let it be there. But then, after you've sat with it for a while, after you've acknowledged it, start to move a little bit. Start to shift the needle. Start to move the needle a little bit in the other direction. Make these little incremental changes. The main point is, what you put your attention on will grow and expand in your life. And that goes for if you're going through psych med withdrawal or not. Just in life in general, that's what's going to happen. What are you putting your attention on? What are you focusing on? I love you guys. I hope this video resonates, and if there's anything that I can do for you, please let me know. If there's any piece of content you'd like to see me create, just drop me a comment. As always, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.